Hey everyone, Chris Roma here, aka Roma Aquatics. Today I'm going to be taking my friend's old beat up 55-gallon tank, and he no longer wants, and turning it into a nice, wonderful, rimless, newly sealed tank. So basically I'm going to take the tank and reseal it because I noticed the silicone wasn't looking so great. I'm going to take the top off of it, paint the background, and get it set up. So here we go. So this is the tank in question. As you can see, this side popped off, and inside, if we inspect the sealant, it's missing pieces here. It's just coming off, it's not really sticking. So I'm just going to peel off all this silicone that's already in here, and we're going to reseal this bad boy with some new aquarium sealant and basically make it into a new tank. The sides look spotless, like someone took a razor blade to the side. So it's almost like there's no sealants on the side at all. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more along the sides, and then we're going to take the sides of these bad boys off, and we're going to make this a rimless tank. So the top and bottom borders are going to come off, and it's going to be a nice rimless tank because it already has the brace up here, which is super nice. So I'm going to go ahead and take this razor blade and this putty knife, and I'm just going to go along in here, do my thing, loosen up this the silicone that's already in here. Just going along here, loosen it up, taking it off, and I'm going to go ahead around the whole tank and just peel all of that off till it's nice and smooth and clean. Okay guys, I got all the silicone off here, and what we want to do now is I didn't even actually use this razor blade at all. I've only used the putty knife at this point, and I just went and I slid the knife under the silicone. But right now I'm just sliding the knife along the sides of it to make sure that I got every last bit of silicone. And actually I feel a little clump right there. If I can get in here, if it'll focus. But right there, there's a hair bit of silicone left there. So what I'm going to do is just take the knife and just scrape it off. It's hard to do one-handed with the camera. Trust me, this is easier when you have both hands. You can get the right angles. But you see that come off there? So now it's completely smooth there. That's the way you want it the whole way around. You want to be able to take the putty knife and basically just scrape it and not feel any resistance from the silicone at all, and have it just slide across the glass nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and make sure the whole tank, there's no silicone left like that at all around the whole tank. And then I'm going to grab a vacuum and a garbage bag and clean all this out, get the inside of this tank spotless so there's not any dirt on it at all. And then we're going to start putting some aquarium sealant in here. Took this vacuum here, vacuumed out everything, and you could just run your finger along that edge, and you can see that it's smooth. Make sure that it's nice and smooth that whole way around. Nice and clean. So the next step is I'm going to go ahead and use my putty knife to just pry these, the top of these off. You could kind of almost do it with your hand. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just stick my putty knife in there. I left it over there. I'll show you. I'll pause it. Hold on. Okay. So basically what you're going to want to do here is just stick your knife in there and just break that silicone that whole way around. And you just go around the whole tank and peel that rim off. Okay. So once you get the rim completely off, you want to go around the sides with your putty knife and get all that excess silicone. I already did that. And then you want to take your razor blade and get every last bit of silicone left. I left this little part here so I could show you if it'll focus. But I basically just take the razor blade, put a little bit of pressure on each side, and then go down like that. Go down the line and just scrape off every last bit of that silicone. And once you get majority of it off, it's actually easier just to come back with your finger or maybe like a green kitchen sponge, which we're going to need anyway to clean up the tank, and get all the last little bits of that off. So I'm going to go ahead and just clean off the last little bits of this, break out the Windex, get this tank spotless, and then we can move on to silicone. Okay, I went ahead and used a kitchen sponge to clean up that tank and get it spotless. so especially around the edges, but it's very clean, no silicone left on there at all. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit of this nail polish remover, put it on some paper towel, and just clean the corners just a little bit. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this nail polish, put it on here, and just hit the corners. I try to put a wide enough angle in there where I can get both sides of the glass at the same time. So I just go up like that a couple times, then I'll take the dry side, follow it up. Same thing across the bottom here. Up the side here. And look at that, we're halfway done. You can tell you did a pretty good job, and it's squeaky clean. So I just grabbed another sheet of paper towel there. And a little bit more nail polish remover. You could also use rubbing alcohol. We are almost ready for silicone. We just got to tape it off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this green painter's tape here, and I'm going to go around the outside edge, if I can find the end of this. Rip a piece that's long enough. And you want to leave just enough, I'd say probably double the thickness of the glass. And after I get 2 pieces of tape on here, I'll show you more what I mean. You don't have to be perfect when you're taping this. I mean, the point of taping it is to make it look better. But, so the whole idea here is when I put the silicone on here and then rub my finger up it, I can peel the tape off and I'll get a real nice straight line there. And what you do is you take a razor blade and you cut these corners out once you get that far. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and finish taping up this section, and show you what we're left with. So after I taped up all 4 sides, we had something that looks a little bit like that. And I'm glad I was making this video because I honestly wasn't even going to bother taping it. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm making a video, I might as well tape it. So you guys kept me honest here. I wasn't even going to bother with this. So now I'm just going to take my razor and cut it to where I want that bottom line to be. And I didn't put a piece of tape around the bottom because the back of the bottom is going to be buried by substrate. And then, honestly, if you want the real answer, it was a pain to get down in there. So I figured I'll just try to be more careful, and we'll see how that works out. So if it doesn't work out very well, you guys know to tape the bottom. But this is working very easily. Basically just holding down one side of the tape, dragging the knife across the tape, cutting it at the level where I'm going to want the silicone at the bottom. Once you make the cuts, you can just peel off the tape. And I kind of just use my finger as like a guide, sliding across the bottom of the tank so I can get a straight line. It's not perfect, but straight enough for the task. This one's it's not kind of wrinkled. It didn't cut straight as I would like it to. That's a little better. So now you can see the bottoms are cut. And it is time to start the silicone. And what I'm going to do with the silicone is I had, whoa, where are you guys looking? There we go. I had an extra notebook, one of these guys. So I ripped a piece off, and this little blue piece is what I'm going to use to scrape the corners up and give me a nice rounded edge like so. So we'll see how that works. Get the caulk gun set up and get to work. This is the silicone I'm using, as I use for everything. GE all-purpose 100% silicone. So I just cut the tip off at a little bit of like a 45-degree angle there. Now, I learned my lesson from one of my previous videos. I need to remember to pop the foil in there before trying to use it, or else it doesn't want to work very well. But here's the moment of truth. And alright, so once we start, we want to move, because we definitely do not want the silicone drying on us once we start, because it becomes much more difficult to work with once it's starting to dry. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the bottoms first. Very light pressure. I'm just dragging. Just lightly dragging what's there across the bottom. And I wish I had a chest camera so you can see what I'm doing. Let's see if I could set you up in here. Well, I'll show you what I just did. Now I'll show you what I did after. I gotta move quick. Let's see, I'll set you up in here. Oh, stinky in here. Get a better view of this line, if you can. Sorry, this view is gonna be bad, but you'll get to catch some of it at least, I hope. So I'm gonna come in. Pull it across, just like so. Okay, we smoothed out the silicone. It's looking pretty nice and smooth up the sides. That worked fairly well. I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off now. When you're taking the tape off, you want to pull straight out. One piece tape off. 2 pieces tape off. Oh, that is not what you want to do. See how that is what I was trying to avoid doing. The silicone just hit the glass. So I need to work quick and clean this up right now. Okay, I thought I'd turn the flash on so you could see it a little better now. So that sucked. Unfortunately, I had the fortunately I had the nail polish remover on hand. But it forced me to clean up the mess before I got to the tape, and on this last one, the tape was starting to dry on there, and I had to run the thing over it after I pulled the tape off and ruined my straight line on this side. But all the other ones are perfect. They all look fantastic, perfectly straight. They look great from the inside and the outside, nice and straight. And once they're clear, it'll look much better. And even the one that I had to push on, still fairly straight. Gets a little wobbly at the top there, but hey, we'll just use that as the back of the tank, right? There's always a solution. And even the bottom, where I didn't use the tape, came out fairly smooth. So we're going to give this 24 hours to dry, and we'll come back to it. Just kidding. Not time for 24-hour wait period yet. I forgot the brace. So we're needing to put the brace back on here. And after I got the top off, I realized the brace was actually cut a little weird. It wasn't long and braced on the top like I've seen. It's braced, the piece of glass is cut so it could actually fit into the tank. So for me to silicone this in place, it needs something to hold this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put 4 little dots of hot glue at each corner, let it dry, take the piece of glass up, and then I should be able to put fill in the silicone that way. The pieces of hot glue hopefully will be able to hold the glass up in the meantime. And basically I'm just using the glass as a guideline as to where to put the glue. I really don't even want the glass touching the glue. So actually I just need to put little dots of glue where I know at about the height of where I want the glass. So about the depth, the thickness of this piece of glass down. And this is an experiment. I've never done this before, so I'm hoping it works. This is the best solution to the problem I could think of. So we'll see what happens. So that worked even better than expected. The hot glue, just those 4 little dots, is holding that brace in place perfectly. It just made it, basically just decreased the width of the tank, or depth of the tank, or width, whatever, by just enough. Well, I can't put it on one hand, but just enough to where I could balance it on those glues and get that silicone going. Top brace is siliconed on. Looks a little messy right now, but after it's dry, I'll take a razor blade to it and clean up the edge and make it nice and straight again. But now it's time to wait 24 hours. So I just got back from the Home Depot. Spent about $8. It'll focus. But I bought some black paint. Sample. And got one of these foam brushes. And a little mini 3-inch paint roller that is a one-time use pretty much, and it comes with the packaging is also the paint tray. That was $2.50. I really like these. They're easy to use. You don't got to clean up after. You just throw it out. But as you can see, I have the tank set up here. I decided instead of taking the bottom rim off, I'm just going to paint it black. And I decided that for a couple of reasons. One, I really like the way that the black rims, the black border contrasts on the pool sand. Two, I'm going to be moving this tank around a lot by myself. So I kind of like the added strength of having the bottom rim in there. And three, the bottom rim doesn't really bother me. I don't mind it. It's the top rim that I really think makes the difference when you take it off. So I'm going to get started here. We're going to paint the rim, and we're going to also paint the back of the tank black, because I like my tanks black. So I'm just pouring some of the paint into the tray. And start painting the rim. As you can see, I already taped off. I'll get a close-up after, but I taped off the sides and the back of the tank anywhere that I don't want the paint to be able to touch. Alright guys, it's time for the water test. Before I get this set up in the house, I did just reseal it and peel off the silicone. So I definitely want to make sure this thing holds water before I get it all set up and ready to go, and then find out later that I made a mistake. So here we go, we're going to fill it up. I'll give you a shot afterwards, and hopefully no leaks. Are full and good to go. I filled it much higher than I would ever fill it if it was in use. It's actually above the brace. There's still no bowing going on whatsoever. Looks awesome. I'm not seeing any dark spots on the concrete yet, and I hopefully will not continue to see any dark spots on the concrete. I like testing my tanks on concrete because you can immediately see the water when it gets wet. But I'm going to leave this here for about an hour and keep checking on it, and hopefully no wet spots. I actually didn't get around to doing anything with this last night. I got a little bit busy. So this was out here all night, but it looks good. No water on the ground, which means no leaks. I could see right through the bottom. My daughter must have dropped one of her straws in here, but there's no wetness along the bottom there, besides a little condensation. But I can see the concrete underneath, it's dry, so that's great. Great. Still no bowing whatsoever. So let's get this drained and get it in place. Okay, so we got the 20 gallon set up in its new home. I got the lights turned off in the fish room so we can see what's going on, but I aquascaped it. Can't really see the tank though, so I'm going to have to turn the lights on to see what the tank looks like on the rack. But glass is a little dirty, I need to clean it, but I just filled it up. So but I'll slowly pan across here for you so you can see the aquascape. There's some subwassertang and weeping moss and dwarf hairgrass, and I forget what that's called, and I forget what that's called, but there's some of those in there. And yeah, I think it looks good. Most of those plants I got from Chuck T when he was trimming his tank. So I guess I'll go ahead and turn the lights on so you can see what it looks like. Alright, so those are the fish room lights on. So I'll just back it up. So there's the new rack that I built. I'm pretty sure this is probably the first time on video seeing that rack. But yeah, got the L going on. We got the old new rack. We have the ones in the wall built in. We have the Sulawesi 20 gallon tall on top with the two Caridina 20s underneath. And over here we have another Guppy tank. So we have plenty of room. And for those of you who don't know, this is the other room that's being moved to the new shrimp room. But these are there's 8 other tanks of shrimp, or 9 tanks of shrimp. And then 2 tanks with just plants in them, hanging out. These are my pure red lines. They're doing good. Breeding like crazy, these guys. Yeah, there's definitely babies in that tank, but all these guys have tons of babies in them, except for this tank. This was the Taiwan bee tank that got moved into the other room. Yellow King Kong are doing really well. So, oh my god, look at all those black rose. Tons of them. Tons of sapphire shrimp. Tons of pumpkin shrimp. Okay, anyway, this is cherry shrimp. My orange eye royal blue tigers. Gorgeous. But anyway, I think that's it for this one, guys. Let me know what you think. You can see that the seams turned out quite well. Nice and straight. It's not leaking. Frame looks good. Black on the bottom. Rimless on top. The brace is holding nice. No bowing whatsoever. Again, look at the straight lines of the seams. Almost forgot to show you that. That was the whole point of the video. But yeah, turned out great. Turned out great. Alright guys. That's it for this one. Till next time. Later, fish fam.